I'm here just to have you ask yourself really deeply on this, ladies. Like, I can't, is that true? I'm not strong enough, is that true? Something's wrong with me, is that true? And if that's not true, what's underneath that? You are listening to Turn Your Soul On Radio. I am your host and visionary doctor, Dr. Brandy Victory, and my mission is to assist high-achieving women in closing the gap between feeling unfulfilled to living a life on fire. It is time, ladies, to champion our own lives and turn ourselves on. This is Living Victoriously, ladies. This is how you turn your soul on. Hello, ladies. Welcome back. I am so excited to be here with you today. I am going to chat with you a little bit about why you may be avoiding change and how you can step into greater self-confidence and personal empowerment around some of those things you may be resistant around. Change is possible, and we've all had massive change in our life in some way. I know that I have. If you listen to the previous podcast episode, you will hear some of the things that I've changed in my life. And if you look around in your own life, I'm sure that you'll see that you've made massive change in your life as well. Like, it's the one constant we can constantly depend on, right? It's always going to be there. Change is going to happen, whether we like it or not. And I personally don't really like change. My boyfriend, he just came up with this really cool way to open a can, like a can of beans, with the can opener that we've been using for years. And it actually, when he opens it this way, it doesn't leave a sharp edge on the top of the can, which can be helpful, right? But I personally have so much resistance around opening the can in this way, which is ridiculous. I'm like, what is that? We were talking about it this morning, and I was like, well, I don't like the way when I put the can opener on the can that way, I can't really see if it's like hooked in, or if should I open it with my left hand or should I open it with my right hand? I have to bend down to look at it, and then it leaves these paper shavings, and I don't like that. I'm like, what the hell ever? It's like all ridiculous stuff, right? What is that really? Like, those are all surface excuses. Like, when I look at that deeper, I'm like, well, really, I just don't like change, and I like the way I've been doing it, and it's good and it works. And yeah, then of course now I'll feel completely horrible if he cuts his finger on one of the cans I have opened. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to make it a practice to open cans in this new way because I'm so resistant to it. Like, that is probably the number one way that I make sure that I'm constantly pushing myself out of subconscious patterns that may be limiting me. Now, I'm not saying open my can one way or another is going to change my life necessarily, but it does give me the ability to know that I can make change in my life. So we got to make change on a small level and celebrate those successes before we can actually make change on a big level, because it can be so daunting to make a big change. Like, one of the biggest changes I've made in my life is, I guess the biggest change I've made in my life, the hardest thing I've ever done, was to leave Texas, which is where I was born and raised, and move to California. I moved to Northern California. I left my husband and a codependent relationship with him and my mother, to be truthful. And that was a very, very, very difficult time in my life. But, when I look back on it now, I was like so ready for it. There was just day after day, I was wishing my life had been different. And I was like, gosh, I want something more than I have. And when we ask and we pray and we, give it up to Spirit, Universe, God, whatever you want to call it, and we allow that stuff to come, the path opens. And then it's our responsibility to take action and step our way into that path. And we have choice around that. I didn't have to leave. It was my choice to leave. But I left because I got 2 job offers from 2 different doctors on exactly the same day that they were both in Northern California. So in my mind, I'm like, wow, Spirit is really trying to move me to Northern California. And I listened to that stuff strongly. So before that, I didn't have any reason to move to California. There was nothing there for me. My whole family was in Texas. So, I asked, and the path opened, and I chose to make those steps for myself. And I'm so, so grateful, because my life is completely different now because I did that, obviously. We just tend to get stuck in ruts and avoid doing change work because we have resistance. That's essentially the bottom line of it. And then our resistance shows up in different excuses, like I can't because XYZ. I just had a patient who I actually saw her yesterday, and she was just took on a night job. And I was explaining to her how important it is that she gets a different job, because her working nights is messing up her circadian rhythm, which is messing up her hormones. And here she is with a brand new baby, breastfeeding, and she's jacking herself up, right? And her response to me was, well, I can't because I'm breastfeeding. And I was just like, what? And she breastfeeds her baby during the day, and then she goes to work at night. I was like, so how about pumping? How about pumping your breast milk so your baby has something to drink while you're at work during the day? So it's just finding another way to get through that. But that was her excuse. I can't because XYZ. Like, I think a lot of us do that. I can't because whatever. Or I'm not strong enough. Or I know one thing I've told myself a lot in the past was something's wrong with me. Like, there's severely something wrong with me to be feeling this way and doing the things that I'm doing. And so when you say those kinds of things to yourself, like something's wrong with me, you begin to believe that on a deep level, and you program your own mind to believe that something is wrong with you, or to believe that you're not strong enough, or to believe that you can't for whatever reason. And, I'm here just to have you ask yourself really deeply on this, ladies. Like, I can't, is that true? I'm not strong enough, is that true? Something's wrong with me, is that true? And if that's not true, what's underneath that? When I had obsessive compulsive disorder with food, I was eating food late at night and different things like that. And I would just say, oh, just this one more time, I'll start tomorrow. Just one more time, I'll start tomorrow. And, the just one more time will never get you to where you want to go, right? So you just got to kind of figure out how we're going to take you from these little tiny excuses that add up to resistance and dysfunction, and not moving into the place that you want in your life, to a place of freedom. And one of the things that you can do is, we'll work through this little mindset shift practice, is just pick one thing that you'd like to change. I don't know about you, but I look around, I'm like, well, I want this, and I want that, and I want this, and I want that, and then it all becomes overwhelming, and then I don't do anything. So just pick one thing. And I would recommend that you go for something that's not too big, but something that's relatively easy for you to attain, because you gotta start being able to attain successes in your life so that you can feel successful, right? And then the more you feel successful, the more you'll be able to attain more in your life. So pick that thing. Let's just say you're wanting to stop eating late night snacks. And so if that's going to be your goal, or your new way of being in the world, then what you're going to do is you're going to create a time that you're going to stop eating. Let's just say I'm going to stop eating at 7 o'clock at night. I personally would recommend stop eating 4 hours before bed, but do what works for you. And I'm going to tell you that's not going to be an easy thing. I've done this multiple times, and you just have to do it. And after you do it for 2 or 3 nights, you're fine. It doesn't even matter anymore. But the first couple of nights, it can be hard. So make sure you have some tea on hand, so you can drink tea, or some lemon water, or some lemon and honey tea would be fine. But just drink after 7 o'clock, and that's all you're going to do. Make this one thing a habit. So you're going to stick to it for a week, and then after that week is up, I want you to celebrate your success. Me personally, I like to track myself, so I have a calendar on my refrigerator, and whatever I'm working on at that time, I track that stuff. So if you stop eating at 7, maybe put a star on the date on that calendar, and then you'll see 7 stars on the calendar at the end of the week, and then you can celebrate that. Now, I'm not saying celebrate that by going out and eating at 10 o'clock at night, but just find something else to do. Maybe paint your toes, or go get a manicure, a pedicure, or take a night off and read a book and take a bath, or whatever feels really good, and just know that you're doing this because you're celebrating your success. And then let's just say you are wanting to start exercising more, okay? And, there's just this resistance block for a lot of people around exercise. Like, it sucks for a lot of people. But what I want you to do is I want you to make a commitment to bust through the resistance. All right. And this is how you're going to do it. You're going to pick 3 days this week that you're going to move your body for 20 minutes. Okay. It's just 20 minutes. You can do anything for 20 minutes. That's all. And just know it's enough. Okay. 20 minutes 3 times this week. And you need to write that on your calendar so that you have it's marked off so that that is what you're doing during that time slot. And there's no give on that. Okay, you have to do it. There are things in my life that are called non-negotiables, and these are things that I do no matter what, and exercise is one of those. So this is a non-negotiable, okay? So at the end of the week, put your little stars on your calendar and celebrate that at the end of the week. Like, yes, I exercised for 20 minutes this week, 3 times. That's amazing. Now, in your mind, you may be going, wait a minute, I really want to be exercising 5 days a week for an hour. And, it was only a measly 20 minutes. Whatever kind of change is that going to make? And, if you're having that kind of conversation with yourself, just stop. Just stop. Know that what you're doing is enough, okay? Know that if you stopped eating and you didn't eat after 7 o'clock, but you're thinking I should stop eating at 6, whatever, know that what you've done is enough. And knowing that it's enough because it is the goal that you set yourself. So you've set a goal for yourself, it's 20 minutes 3 times a week, then that's enough because you didn't set any other goal. Like you totally did what you said you were going to do, okay? As you begin to collect these wins and these successes and these celebrations, you're going to find that it's so much easier to tackle the big stuff, like changing your job or moving or changing your relationship or meeting new friends even. I mean, actually, that one may come pretty easy to you because as you start making these changes and you start building your self-confidence, you're going to become more magnetic to the people who are doing the same. Yeah, so you're literally going to attract into your field other people who hold these types of standards because as you begin to harness that vibration and that frequency of success around these things, then you just become a magnet for other people who are wanting to be around other people doing the same thing. It's the way it works, okay? So I know a lot of you already know like all the mindset stuff in the world and you could be doing it all and still if you're, giving yourself excuses and you're saying you're unhappy, but you're too busy or you don't have enough time or you can't for whatever reason. The truth is that you're just not even loving yourself you're loving yourself enough to make it happen. So, this is really about diving deeper into the why behind my resistance, the why behind your resistance, the why behind our resistance. So we all have it, and I'm just going to invite you to go, you know what? I'm worth it. You are worth it. You are worth it. You are worth it. And this is how you turn your soul on, ladies. Take your steps, and I will see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to another awesome episode of Turn Your Soul On Radio. If you're enjoying the show and it's making a difference in your life, I'd be super grateful if you'd head on over to iTunes and leave a heartfelt review, which is a tremendous help for the growth of our show. Feel free to leave any suggestions or questions in your review, or you could shoot an email to us at admin@drbrandyvictory.com. I'd also like to invite you to become a deeper part of the Turn Your Soul On Radio community. You can do that by joining us in our private Facebook group, Turn Your Soul On. I'll leave a link in the show notes for you, and thank you so much for being here today. Live victoriously, ladies, and turn your soul on.
This podcast is for information purposes only. Dr. Brandy Victory is not a medical doctor, and the views and statements expressed on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Dr. Brandy Victory and the producers, disclaim responsibility from any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.